What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. Sheets is actually not going to make it today, so I thought I would go through this slate. I'm going to start things off a little differently, go through FanDuel, then DraftKings. Do want to remind everybody we still have the code Masters TDFS up for 33% off of your first month. I think it's a pretty incredible deal. We're charging like less than $1 a day more than SaberSim, and we have our partnership with SaberSim. We've got all Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections, all of my content, Brandon Cruz, Adam Perry, there's Rody, and we've also got the partnership with PayDirt, which has been awesome as well. So have all the PayDirt stuff on our site. So check it out when you have a chance. Even if you guys have used the trials, you can use them again because we have added obviously a lot of things. So feel free to check that out, and hopefully you guys will join us and make some money with us. So with that said, I'm going to jump into tonight's slate. This is sort of where I'm at the moment on FanDuel. I think I'm gonna run again a little bit more. I would like to get a little bit more C's, but I do think Skubal is pretty clearly the best play at pitcher on the slate. Dustin May is actually my second favorite on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I think that I want to try to get a little bit more exposure to C's. C's and May would be the next two for me. May a little lower on the quality start. One thing I like to look at is this quality start percentage. Oh, sorry, a little higher on the quality start. But we know that C's has the monster ceiling. It's just a matter of can he, against a good team, can he be efficient with his pitches, and can he not get hit up too hard? But I do think C's is the other one I'm sort of leaning at. I'm currently getting this Baz exposure, but I think it's because I'm a little bit. I'm not quite as high on this. My guess is I end up with Skubal, then May, then C's as my three highest owned, followed by Valdez and then May. Valdez then Baz. In terms of stacks, I think there's a lot of good options tonight. This is where I'm currently at, but I'm gonna rerun things. We still don't have a Dodger lineup yet. We don't have a Padre lineup. We don't have the Rockies and Cubs either. I think the Dodgers are going to end up being more for me, a little more for me than Detroit. But it's going to be close because Detroit is cheap, and I like the spot for them. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, like both sides of that game. Wanted to force in some San Diego. And then Toronto as well. I think those are the main ones. And then definitely would like to get a little bit more KC, but it's a little more expensive on FanDuel. Getting to a little bit more of that on DraftKings at the moment, sort of where I'm at. What's up, Eagle? Good to see you, man. I'm doing all right. I'm a little, I haven't been drinking much. And yesterday was the Masters Sunday, which was wild. And I had some drinks. So still feeling it a little bit today, especially if you haven't drinking in a while. So that's sort of where I'm at the moment. I'm really a little tilting with the Oberg. Probably cost me 10 to 15K at least, the triple on 18, because Oberg was basically unowned and I had him everywhere, and it would have been nice to get that money. So Adam's not playing tonight, but yeah, there's some big contests. Hopefully we do have some sweats. We got the 200K for first on DraftKings. We got the big 333 on FanDuel, the $5 lottery on DraftKings. Should be a lot of fun. So hopefully we can do some damage, but this is sort of where I'm at now. I will update all of our site members my exact exposures when I have them more figured out. And just in terms of stack exposures, as you can guess, going to come up with, especially on slates of 7 games or more, pretty much always going to be in the 4-3, 4-2-2, 4-2, and 4-4 are going to be leading it for me. Don't mind getting into a little bit of the other stuff, but did cross out I didn't want any of the nonsense stacks, so cross those out. That's sort of what I'm getting on FanDuel at the moment. Moving over to DraftKings, I feel like it's a little bit of a different slate, on both sites. So I am doing things a little bit differently. You can see, again, getting all the Skubal, May, again, getting a lot of Baz. I can make an argument for Baz, and I can make an argument against him with the Red Sox bats. Pretty good hitting weather today in Tampa Bay. Remember, they're not playing indoors anymore. I also think I'd like to get to, I'm just going to make sure I have this right. Let's make sure I have, at least 20 of each of the, at least 20 of, just to make sure I don't mess up anything. But I'd like to get to a little bit more C's than this. I just think the ceiling's too high to not have some exposure on a big slate. So I think I am going to get to more C's. Right now, you can see that I'm mostly running with Skubal, May, and Baz, and not getting to a bunch else. Let's see if that. Every lineup that's come in has had the wrong projected lineup. So, all right. So we've got Lockridge and Diaz out. Okay, that's fine. Literally every single lineup today. I don't think one lineup has come out as predicted so far. It's just one of those days. As far as stacks go on DraftKings, again, getting a lot of Detroit, but getting the Dodgers, Tampa Bay, pretty similar to that. But I am getting to more Boston over here because of the pricing. And again, Atlanta, I like the Mets and Twins. There's a little bit of weather concern in that game, but I think it's a decent, again, it's cold, but you've got 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. So I think getting to some Mets makes a little bit more sense over here. And did not get to the required number of KC that I wanted early on, and going to try and force in a little bit more of that. I also don't think, if you want to go a different route and not play the Detroit thing, I have no problem with it. I do think, for what it's worth, we'll just take a quick look at the ownership for Detroit. They are, wow, I think the ownership is being so low. I do like getting way over the field. Now, do I have to be this far over the field? Probably not. Let me just make sure I don't have anybody that I'm not projected. But I do like the spot for Detroit. So I'm okay with taking a little bit of a gamble here. And again, maybe I don't end up with the 60. I probably end up sub 50% of it. And I'm just curious what my stack exposure. Yeah, as you'd imagine, 5-2. Now I am gonna X out this one, the 2-2. Well, 2-2-2. I just don't feel like that works things out well enough. If you want to do this one, I don't mind playing around with a little bit of it, but the 2-2 thing feels a little bit light. If it was a bigger, again, a smaller slate, I don't mind the idea of getting away from the stacks. So that's just sort of, again, just probably not going to be doing that myself. These are all okay. I'll leave them. But when I rebuild, I would like to get a little bit more correlation than what I've currently got running right now. What's up to my guy, K9? Good to see you, man. Guys, I will rerun things, though, and update my exposures. Because, again, I just don't feel like I need to have quite, like, between both sites, 68% on FanDuel, 46% on DraftKings. I think I'm okay with, getting a little more spread out and maybe getting to a little bit of some of these other stacks that I'm not currently getting much of. I don't actually want to put necessarily some ownership on them. Let's see. The Mets are the ones I don't mind a little bit of. And then as far as 5-man stacks go, I do want to focus a little bit on the Dodgers. Detroit makes sense, obviously. I want to make sure I have some Tampa Bay. Just again, just going to try and tweak things a little bit to get a little different. I do like using Goldie's projections. He hasn't updated them yet since all these lineups have come out, so I would wait to do that. But one thing that's really worked well for me so far this year is in all sports is using Goldie and Sheets' projections with the SaberSim builder. I'm using SaberSim's projections right now, and I'm splitting the ownership between the average between Goldie and SaberSim just to get it different even from other SaberSim users. So look, baseball, like I always say, the later shows don't need to go on for an hour and a half because, it's entertainment, sure. But if there's any questions or thoughts, feel free to weigh in or say if you don't like my builds, you do like them, whatever it is, I'm happy to discuss it. But I don't have a whole lot more that I wanted to add to this particular slate because it's just sort of where I'm at. And let's just see individual hitters. As you'd imagine, they're mostly Detroit. And after that, we're getting the Dodgers as the next most, which sort of what I think you'd expect right now. Dodgers, the little White House fatigue, huh? Little struggles for my boys out there. It's been a little rocky after a great start. Anyway, just Rand has got a ton of Detroit. Wondering if they all coming out. I think they will when the cards are flipped over. I think it's a good way to put it, Adam. I do see Detroit as being a team that's going to be a little bit more popular than maybe people think. But again, not one of the first games. We have till 7:40 Eastern. I want to remind everybody that I do think, especially if you're using SaberSim TrueDFS, I do think you should be late swapping as often as possible. Sometimes I'll use Goldie and Sheets' projections for my early builds. And then for the late swap, I'll use the SaberSim. Again, it's just little things to do to get a little bit different, but sort of like my overall plan today. I'm going to rebuild things in a minute. I'll actually go over to FanDuel and rebuild. I'm gonna probably knock, because I'm playing a bunch of lineups over here, I'm gonna probably knock down the Detroit exposure just a touch. I do like them. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't want to end up. I don't think I necessarily need the 70%. So I'm gonna cap this at 55. I actually think it might come in less than that when I rebuild it. And let's sort of see what we get. You know what? I'll just cap it at 50 because some of those stacks are not going to be 5-mans. We'll go 55. What the hell? I don't mind the little mini stacks there. So let's rebuild and see what we're getting if we run the Sims again. But I am not, again, Sheets projections, and he's so good at it. He just, they've been so awesome. He's just plugging and playing and then maybe making a tweak or two. I'm making a lot of tweaks just because I'm trying to get a little bit different. Not a lot, but you know what I mean? I'm trying to find the sweet spot. And for baseball, it's been mixed results. I've had some good wins early on, but I've had some really rough nights. And it's a gambling game. There's a guy who posted it and said that he was using SaberSim for 2 days, and he said, I used SaberSim for 2 days and I didn't win anything. I didn't make any money. This site is a lie and all this stuff. I'm just like, wow, this DFS is not for that guy. If you're a good tournament player, you should lose most nights. That's the truth. If you don't lose most nights, I think you're probably doing something wrong and you're probably being a little too conservative. I don't think it makes sense to expect to win most nights. It's ridiculous. And guys like that can go F themselves and complain about 2 days I didn't win anything. These people are just privileged people who just think that no matter what, they can click a button and they're going to be winners every day they do something. It's just, I don't understand that mentality. Fortunately, you guys are a little tougher minded than that guy was. But yeah, that kind of stuff really, really ticks me off. So let's see what we get on the rebuild on FanDuel. I am gonna probably up my minimum exposures and see if I can get a little bit less of a little more spread out that way. For what it's worth, these are what the contests are that I'm playing. Just so you guys know, I have an idea. That's the Monster, the Squeeze, and the Rally. I'm maxing out the Squeeze only, the $3, and Brandon Lockridge on a 10-day DL. Oh, did that already? Did he get announced in and then out? Let me just double check that. I don't think so. And one thing is our the MLB channel has been really going. Rody's great in there, and Adam's in there all the time, and everybody's been popping in with different ideas, thoughts, and I think it's a really, really, really smart Discord that we got going for us. So we did, yeah. He's just out. Okay, so I'm gonna have to rerun things again, but this is what I'm planning to do roughly. Let me just jump back to the builds and then run the sims and see what we're getting. So let's take a look without the sims at first and see what we get there. It's all Scooble basically. And then we're getting a little bit of May and C's that I forced in. And then you get a lot more of the Dodgers if you don't run the sims, but the Dodgers are going to have ownership tonight. So that is why the sims are going to get you off of them a little bit. Again, still going to have a decent amount of Dodgers, but the sims are definitely going to keep me off of quite as much as I would have had. All right, so let's see where we're at. Oh, I got to go to, let's go to 3-man uniques. And I'm going to bet Detroit is still right up there, but I think that we'll get some more Atlanta and some more Toronto, potentially some more Boston. Even though I like Baz as a pitcher, it makes me a little bit nervous. Good hitting conditions and everything. I don't think he's like a guy I have to like try to fade, but I also am still surprised about this Kansas City situation. Why aren't they getting? Is it because they're getting love that I'm not getting to as much of them? Maybe that's what it is. Because I thought I was going to end up getting the SaberSim was going to be going there, and then I thought they'd be higher owned. And early in the day, they didn't look like they were going to be. Now it looks like they are. So you can see I'm getting a ton of the Dodgers here, which I'm going to guess they took my Scooble ownership down a little bit. Yeah, down to 32. And then again, you're playing combo stacks on DraftKings. So wow, 322 is my highest owned. That seems a little fishy to me. So I'm going to cap that. And I want at least like, let's just do this. Just so and then the other 4, 4, 5, and then 10. Let's see if we can get it to agree. It's probably going to tell me it can't meet my exposure, but I do want to stick to mostly 4-mans over here. Let's see what we end up with. I don't love that 322 thing. I don't mind if I get a tiny bit of it, but I don't want it to be my highest owned type of stack type. I just think I'm all for like breaking the norms in stack types, but I still want to have mostly 4-man stacks when I'm playing 261 lineups. All right, let's see if there's any questions or thoughts. One thing about San Diego stacks, Cubs have no lefties available in their pen unless they use the. That's interesting. Good point there, Adam. It's good to note. So no lefties in the pen. There aren't. I don't. And by the way, Padres, I don't know if they have that many guys they can pinch hit anyway because they're already down some bodies. So it's not the best Padres lineup you've ever seen in your world, but it does lower the pinch hit risk, which obviously is a boost. So good point there, Adam. I love pointing those kind of things out. I actually wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate that very much. After this build, I'm probably going to get out of here so I can finish up I do hand build my big buy-ins on DraftKings anyway. I will be tonight on FanDuel. I'm tempted to let it cook, but I'm not sure I'm going to yet. And I'm just going to take a look and see when Goldie does update the projections. I am going to start using Goldie's projections that are updated. So that is sort of where I'm at. What else? Anybody else have a good golf? I did cash deep in with a 5 of 6 in the 3,300, which was nice. But it was tilting too, because it looked like for a minute it might be the nuts, because it had Rory, Oberg. Who else was there? Harris English, who had a great tournament, ended up 4 under. Fleetwood and Schwartzel, because I didn't have much money to spend. And then I ended up, unfortunately, on Joe Highsmith. And if I would have played Danny Willett, would have won the million again. I think it was Willett. Was it Willett or no? It was somebody else I would have had to have played. Bubba. If I would have played Bubba, I would have gotten the 1 million. But it wasn't really a thought I had, so it is what it is. But it would have been certainly nice. All right, let's see what we got here. That was a wild tournament, man. I felt emotional for Rory. Like I actually felt like, God, if you lose this one, I mean, not to mention the 5-stroke lead, the missing the putt on the 4-footer. It was just, that would have been one. I don't even know how you bounce back from that. I really don't. But he's a tough guy, and hung in there and did the job. And I love Justin Rose too. I actually had a lot of Justin Rose. I just didn't quite get there with Rory and him together quite enough. All right, so let's see where we're at stack wise, and then let's see the stack exposure. Yeah, okay. Now we're looking more like we're making some sense, right? This feels a lot better to me. And we're down to 54% Detroit. We got a little more Tampa Bay, a little more KC, little Toronto, Atlanta. Okay, so a little bit spread out. And again, we'll go to that's with 1 min unique. I don't know that I need to spread out that much more than that, because I'm getting a pretty decent amount of exposure to a lot of different spots. The only team I don't have stacked right now is Colorado. So that's sort of where I'm at. Anyway, guys, yeah, me too, Eagles. I was happy that Rory won as well. That would have been tough. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you all very much. Give us a like on the way out of here, and I am going to get out of here, finish my builds, and then I will update the premium channel with my exact exposure.